All right, cool. What are you doing this time?
Well, Gary, you'll see here that I have a Ouija board.
Ooh.
Yeah.
A Ouija board?
Yes, it is a Waluigi board. It is shitty and only shows up in a couple of games. Yeah.
It's an upside down board.
Let's put our hands on the planchette. It's under the table, so we're gonna have to. Okay.
Good use of the lingo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I listened to that episode of Stuff You Should Know. I'm good.
All right, we're on the planchette.
And I'm going to ask this question here of the spirits. Have we used a Ouija board as a randomization method before? Well, are you moving it, Gary? It's so spooky.
I'm sure I'm not.
Well, me too.
Yeah, I don't know. All services point to I can't remember.
Yeah, it's all it's doing is it's pointing at
Yeah, just sorry for the lack of context, spirits.
Yeah.
You should know that Duckfeed.tv is a podcast network that's listener supported. We explain the concept of the show to you, spirits.
What's a podcast? I died in 1780.
Yeah, I know. I died in a shirt factory fire, you asshole.
Yeah.
Have fun with your audio games. You clearly eat enough to feed me for a year.
To somebody who died that long ago, we would be demented town criers.
Yeah. Just like the picture of opulence here in my working pants and my upright chair, like some kind of god king of the 20s.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So it doesn't know that one. We should probably find something that's more up the spirit's speed.
Okay. What game are we playing next?
Find a kid who died in 1996 or 97. Let's see if we can find that.
Okay, Aiden. Aiden. Which one of you is an Aiden? Yep. I guess that would be more 2006.
Most of you?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait, it says we're playing Casper the Friendly Ghost.
I don't know.
There's some redeeming qualities.
It's interesting. We'll get to it. Before we do that, I am Gary Butterfield.
I'm Cole Ross.
And this is Abject Suffering, the show where we play bad games at your behest.
Yes. Why are you doing this to us? Kinda?
Yes.
So that's something. Like if Casper the Friendly Ghost is your favorite game, and you see, why is it on this feed? I love it. Well, no, like we are going in and doing our due diligence by playing a half an hour of it. So. Yeah,
and also, I mean, I guess like if that's true, if you are that mythical person where this is your favorite game, you're lucky that we'll probably talk about it more than we would in some other episodes. One, because it's kind of interesting, and two, because we've had so many episodes where I've just been like, who is this for? Like, why kids don't like cartoons from the 20s? What's happening? And then I did the research and found out it's based on a wildly successful movie.
Yeah, ridiculously successful.
I barely remember.
One of the first and best examples of a major Hollywood film integrating CGI characters alongside regular human actors.
Yeah, it's like the Who Framed Roger Rabbit of its time.
Yeah.
In technology only.
Which, wow, what a step down in edginess.
Exactly. Yes, what a step down in everything.
Yeah. Well, it deals with a dead kid, so we're all good there.
Well, you'd think so. Like, I've always had some problems with Casper the Friendly Ghost. Like, I feel like that concept doesn't have quite enough nuance to it. It's a little too on the nose, you know? I mean, I get, like, you get what you're getting. You know, like, you know what's going to happen when you read a story about a friendly ghost. Like, A is friendly, B is ghost.
Yes.
But they never created a C, D, or, the entire alphabet of personality features that a character could have. Like, I get it. It's like the Itchy and Scratchy, like, that happy cat, like, where it's just like he sure is helpful and happy. Friendly. That's all we got.
All I'm picturing is like a version of the Munsters where instead of a Frankenstein's monster and a vampire, it's all ghosts, and there's just, instead of having the beautiful woman, it's just who's the niece who doesn't fit in. It's just an alive person, and she's in a house all alone talking to herself.
As far as I can tell, that's what happens in the game. Like I actually don't know, but like it seems right. Even though I watched a YouTube and got to the end boss, and it's a witch that belches slime balls at you.
Oh, cool.
And has so much HP. Like the boss battle, like the person who has the best time. There's no speed run, but the person who can beat this whole game with no saves or anything in 90 minutes. It took them like 15 minutes to beat this stupid boss.
Wait a minute.
What?
Just
like,
just the one boss? This is a fucking Gigantor or like a Cactor?
it's just a witch. And I think she's probably a witch with too much HP. Yeah. But yeah, she make a real cartoon, like, Ren and Stimpy Vidiots burping sound effect, and shoots a slime ball at you.
Some real Silent Hill 4 patience. Yeah,
it's weird.
Huh.
Yeah, but I didn't get far enough to see any bosses, other than like the little duel you fight. Like I fought a mini boss.
Yeah. The one of the three. I fought the fat one who was voiced by Brad Garrett.
Yeah, there's fatty, stinky, and slimy, I think. Those are the three idiots you have to deal with Casper.
You're fighting some dead Battletoads.
Yeah, exactly. Like, all the Battletoads are probably dead by now. I don't know. Toads
long dead.
Like.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. I feel embarrassed about it because I found out about when I read up on it later, but I didn't realize you could use mirrors to transport. Mm-hmm. So my game just ended when I got to a locked door I couldn't get past.
Me too.
And just kept going back and forth. But I guess those mirrors teleport you, which like that fictional listener who's just like, I love Casper, is like pulling their fucking hair out, waiting for some hard hitting, discussion of like mid game mechanics.
Yep.
And the plot twist of like, we get to a different hallway. But like, it'll never happens because I couldn't figure out, like, no buttons would do anything with the mirror.
Yeah, neither could I. I figured that the mirrors were just checkpoints because you respawn at them when you die.
Exactly. They already have a function. Mm-hmm. So like, I was like, but then when I looked online, everyone's like, oh, you can teleport. Not everyone. I looked online and the trending topic was hashtag teleport through mirrors in Casper.
Yeah.
It's like the national discussion really makes me feel like an idiot because I'm a foot behind.
You didn't see that episode of Larry King last week? It blew the door wide open on those mirrors.
No, Casper. I could see Larry King like talking to Casper in an interview.
How can you be sure he isn't?
Yeah, exactly. He just thinks he's having it. Like he's tired of getting grilled by his guest and wants to have a friendly guest. Finally.
Who's this we you're talking about? You, the mouse in your pocket, and the Casper on my shoulder?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so yes, I missed that as well, and consequently I only saw like 5 or 6 screens, but it was enough to get like a pretty good sense for how this is a little bit special, right? Like there's some cool stuff happening here.
Hold on a second. Yep. Yeah, no, we don't have to put in a mark or anything. My cat's freaking out. He's on my lap and he wouldn't. Yeah, cat's like I'm getting petted, and then out of nowhere it's like, I hate you and will eat you alive. Like he's got real mad for a second. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Unusual for that guy, but yeah, it is A Boy and His Blob, and is based on it is actually based on the A Boy and His Blob engine, which I did not know. The entry on the cutting room floor, for this game is like pithily written in a way that I appreciate.
Cool.
And also let me know that let me read some text here from it. Casper is a ghost of a friendlier disposition. He can also morph into stuff. This game uses a modified version of A Boy and His Blob engine. That is something you now know. Like, thanks, cutting room floor.
It's like a reluctant book report.
Yeah, exactly. Also, check out this for an esoteric way to get the debug function.
Okay.
In order to get the debug function in Casper, after leaving the first room, you plug a super scope into the second player slot, and it gives you every item in the game in 5 lives. But you have to plug in a super scope.
Yeah, so it is hardware locked. It's like those USB keys they give you to unlock your workstation at a government black site.
Yeah. It's super weird.
Huh. Yeah.
But it's A Boy and His Blob. Like it's about your ghost like gaining the ability to take on different forms and using them to kind of indirectly help like a really angry looking lady.
Yeah, I assume that's Christina Ricci's character.
Yeah. She's just like playing what's her head Wednesday.
Yeah. Christina Ricci just playing so hard into type. Like Sleepy Hollow was just 3 years down the road.
Defining characteristic.
Yeah. It's like, let's just put her in these creepy gothic horror roles. Cool.
Yeah.
Which she's fine. Like it. I like Christina Ricci. She's okay.
I think she's fine.
Yeah.
Like she's fine. She's all right. But yeah, she's really playing the type here. And it's kind of like you could make a cool game out of like indirectly guide this person by teleporting or transforming into non-violent objects.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's a Pac-Man 2 and his blob.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. That is really neat. And like, even though it was very early in the game, there was a real shocking lack of item variety. That could have gotten better past the first Mia or whatever. And like all the little things that make up a game still suck. Like the hit detection's really bad, and like you spend a lot of time just capturing plates.
Yeah. Yep.
So with a butterfly net,
collecting your commemorative plates.
Exactly.
Yeah. This one has a duck on it.
And they turn into ectoplasm.
Yeah.
So somehow good.
To fuel the inscrutable health system. I couldn't quite figure that out.
Yeah. I had no idea when I would die or why I would die.
Yeah.
This also, like, what happens to Casper? Like, is there a Beetlejuice-esque, like, it's death for the damned dead? Like, lost souls room that we're not seeing here?
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
Like
Casper's consequence free.
I know, right? He has to just like come back. He has to gather enough spectral energy to resurface through the veil, right? I mean, is he seriously banished to the land of wind and ghosts? Yeah. Like, does he have to not walk without rhythm?
Yeah,
yeah.
I have no clue.
There's a lot to the mythology of this that I don't quite understand. But yeah, there's like a time limit. Like you'll just be floating around trying to solve this puzzle. And Casper, make no mistake, he moves very slowly.
He does. He can fly, and he can move through walls, which is semi-empowering. Mm-hmm. But he moves so slowly, and if you get too far away from Christina Ricci, she gets kidnapped by like Cruella de Vil, like an evil Cruella de Vil character. Have you seen the movie?
Yes, but when I was really little.
Yeah, it seemed like you might be age appropriate, like where you could have seen it.
Yeah, it came out like the perfect age. I was like 8 years old when it came out.
Yeah.
And my parents took me to see it. It made a strong impression on me because I liked spooky stuff then as I like now. And it was a heartbreaking story about a man who was so obsessed with the dead because his wife had died, I think. And so he moved into this oh my gosh. I may just be making this up, but I might also just be describing a better story.
You're 100% making it up. Like I read the description of what happens. That's not close.
Damn it. Yeah, okay. So I was just writing Casper fanfic.
Yeah, you're just pre-associating on what you're pitching a new Casper movie.
Yes, I was. Okay, so taking it back to what I actually do remember, at one point Bill Pullman dies and he has to make a choice between staying as a ghost because he likes being a ghost, because there's something about being a ghost where you forget your past life, or coming back and being with his kids.
Yeah, which is that's quite the Sophie's choice. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
it's actually like a greedy lady. Somebody dies, and a greedy lady who thinks she's going to get the fortune instead gets this estate, and goes there, and she's happy because there's treasure.
Oh, okay.
And like Casper falls in love with her daughter or her psychologist daughter or something like that. Which, like, what's your end game there, Casper? Like, so here's the thing: like mixing a 2D. What's kind of weird is that like Casper doesn't look like a human at all.
No.
Like, imagine a flesh Casper. Like if he just like, I wish to be a real boy so I can marry Christina Ricci, and then just like phasing into his same basic shape. Yep. Like he looked like a skink. Like he looked like a skink slug, like falling on the ground.
Yes,
boneless, and like,
all he can do is just hiss.
Yeah, like just his legs fused together and just like wow. It's like I don't know what his end game is. Christina Ricci's never gonna fall in love with you if you look like a fucking like a Cabbage Patch doll.
Is that part
of the freak?
Yeah, you stupid fuck.
You stupid freak.
Stupid ghost. Learn better.
Yeah,
you have access. You have access to all the knowledge of the infinite void, and you're here with your puppy crush.
Yeah, exactly.
Like just if you had infinite power as a ghost to like go everywhere, you would just immediately become the most depraved version of anything possible.
It's the Invisible Man story.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like exactly. You have that kind of, once you have the power to be consequence free, you become a bad person. And it is a classic, science fiction story.
Yeah.
Because like sexually, if I was a ghost, like, I would think I would. I don't think I would try to get anyone to fall in love with me because I was a ghost. Like I would just watch them masturbate at the same time. That would be my end game, I think.
Well, no, I think that the way that it works for ghosts is they can't masturbate themselves because they have no physical form, but they sap off of the energy of anything else. So anytime you masturbate or get off in the waking life, you're getting off like the billions of ghosts. Yeah, like they're gravitating.
Just the orgone energy that's just flying out of you is just feeding into their crotch fronts.
Yeah, and so what you have to do is you have to walk into a Faraday cage, okay? Start just cranking it so right. And then like when you're about ready to go, you jizz into the Faraday cage as you are backing out of it and close the door, because all of the cum ghosts will go in there, and then boom, you have these ghosts ready to power whatever infernal engine you need them for.
It's a lot. I think that's the actual underlying metaphor of Ghostbusters, because if you consider the proton packs like essentially just jazzing all over, just throw and spray, and then the containment units like literally could just be like a box that one comes in to trap ghosts.
Yeah, your cum box, like you keep in the coat closet.
Yeah. Like on those fucking Goon Layer.
Oh like, man, yeah, it's where you keep your rainbow dash.
Yeah.
I made myself sad.
Yeah, and sick. But the idea of like a ghost watching me JO, like it's not weird. And it's not hot. It's just fine. So like Casper, I think would be fine with that. Like, he should be fine with that. Christina Ricci should be fine with that. Like, I'm not trying to tell like if she's creeped out, but she's not. I think she probably comes to love him in some way. Like they become a family. Like there's some kind of good ending, right?
Yeah.
Does it end with Casper just like going to town on Christina Ricci?
he just flies up there,
Yeah.
Spins around a little bit. Yeah.
He's just like, I can do things that no mortal can do for you, my dear.
Well, I mean, like that also has to be a classic ghost story, right? The lonely ghost who wants to kill people in order to have friends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I could see that like being, if they did a darker and grittier reboot of Casper, like that's the trick.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the thing with Casper the Friendly Ghost is he's that story without a twist. He's like the lonely ghost who wants to have friends to have friends. Like, it doesn't work that way, buddy. They're alive and you're not. Like, it's really about, like, recognizing, like, there's certain things you can't change about how you're born into this world, Casper. Yeah. And this is one of them.
Yeah. In a way, it's a sweet story about people who are at two different points in their life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, two very different, like, points.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it could be, you're past the center point or whatever, but there's a negative x-axis in this shit. Like, you can get dead.
You can get dead. It is statistically probable that you will get dead.
Yeah. Do you ever have like, I never think about, as a non-religious person, I've never been scared of the idea of hell, right? Like, I don't think of like movies that try to invoke that don't scare me, like The Exorcist and stuff. Like, I'm not scared of the devil. I don't care about demon.
Yeah, so something about that, like a straight up Exorcist movie or exorcism movie requires you to, for the course of that 2 hours, believe in the Christian mythology or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I'm not going to call it mythology because I don't want to be insulting, but to believe in the trappings, right?
Yeah.
That kind of go along with that. I think the only exorcism movie that's ever actually like worked for me has been like The Exorcism of Emily Rose. But that's more because like, it's in question, right? And it's more of a thriller and drama. It's not like The Exorcist, which is disturbing, but more into like an off-putting and like this is just unpleasant to be around.
Like a little girl like asking to have sex with an old man like under coercion is off-putting, but it doesn't make me scared of the devil. But like I would be scared if when you die you do become like a ghost and they're just like full of like consequence-free assholes. Like imagine like it's just like that's your world now is people, some of which who have been alive for thousands of years in this world, but have no sense of consequence or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like I just imagine like these like little islands where people who are freshly dead like try to maintain some semblance of civilization, and then just like the roaming bands of people J and O, like just like they just like hide under the fucking under the ground while just like a band of jerking off madmen just like
coming out to commune.
Insane.
Yeah. Well, like what you're describing is what's it? The fucking second Harry Potter book where Myrtle.
I am.
Yeah. It's a minor plot point. Like, there are ghosts in Hogwarts. Forgive me. It's also been like 15 years since I've read a Harry Potter book. But there are ghosts in Hogwarts, and like Myrtle's about ready to celebrate her death day or whatever, which is the anniversary of the death, and they're trying to maintain their humanity to stave off the death madness by putting out this really like rotten, awful food, with the idea being that the stronger the sensory input is, the more that they can kind of like pretend to feel it. So it's like big banquet plates of rotten food in order to like feign it still being alive.
I think fondly on those books, but I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But to be fair, like the second one is my least favorite.
It's all right. Like it definitely pales in comparison to number 3.
Well, and like further ones too. Like I think because the second one is like, here's some more, and then like later things start getting real.
Yeah,
and the first one has the novelty, I guess.
The centerpiece of the second one is that there is a basilisk in the women's restroom.
Yeah, I guess that that's pretty rad.
Yeah, but that's like a fucking Goosebumps plot. Like,
yeah, exactly.
That's the title, basilisk in the bathroom.
Yeah,
or an R.L. Stine tale. Choose your own scare.
I would be into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So ghosts in popular media. Yeah, so yeah, I think that there's a lot of thematic resonance, but I don't know. That there are lots of people who believe in that, which I can't get my head around. Like, I will have conversations with my family, who have worked in the Ohio State Reformatory, which is a favorite of those ghost hunter shows, and say like, oh, I've seen X, Y, or Z. And you feel like a dick saying, well, that can't possibly be because, it's silly. It's like, well, no, you actually experienced that and you believe it. I wasn't there. I'm just the asshole who's trying to harsh your mellow, and it doesn't hurt anybody if you believe in that. So
here's what it is for me. Like what I run into, because I'm the same way.
Uh-huh.
Like I want to tell you is that when people feel like that, like I always feel like they have too much confidence in themselves and their senses.
Mm-hmm.
Like, any kind of basic, if you spend any time paying attention to like cognitive, what's the word?
The cognitive biases,
cognitive biases and stuff like that. Like any amount of education is you moving on a scale towards not trusting yourself.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, and then emotionally too, like I've learned many times over that like the me of yesterday is not to be trusted, and I have no idea what the me of tomorrow is.
Yeah.
Like I can hope, but like, and I partly say this as like a divorced man. Like you don't get divorced, you don't get married thinking you're going to be divorced, but there we were, Yeah. It just like people change. And I also think that like, once you introduce this idea of like a subconscious, like everything's out the window and I can't trust anything I see, think, or feel.
Yeah.
Like it could be due to any number of things. So like, even if I was sure, like I saw a fucking thing, I would be like, it probably wasn't real. I can talk about the experience. Like I was really scared. It looked like this. It was, I don't want to go there again because I have this emotional reaction, but I wouldn't be like, no, it's real. Ghosts are real. Here comes the websites. Like
look at a picture of an orb. Yeah. Like
exactly.
It wouldn't be
like,
that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cottingley fairies or whatever.
Yeah. And just think about this. At one point, I saw a film called Casper the Friendly Ghost, but in the intervening 20 years, I created another version of that, which you can't argue that I didn't experience it.
Well, totally. Like there's the whole thing with whatever that journalist guy was recently, Brian Williams or Dan Rather or whatever, the guy who was in a helicopter next to a helicopter that got shot.
Yeah.
And remembered being in a helicopter that got shot. And like people were like, call for his resignation, flipped out. But like, really, we do that all the time.
Yeah.
Everyone does it. Like you misremember things constantly. And just because there's a difference between like lying, willfully lying, and just saying a thing that's not true. And there's a really good podcast called You Are Not So Smart.
Yeah.
That's a great one. I talked that up to you?
Yeah.
And they did a really good episode on misremembering, where we talked about that because it is, it's like he asked the lady and he's like, what percentage of memories are false or suspect? And she's like, 100. Like it is literally like you construct this past and it has no basis necessarily on it has a basis, but it has no 100% verisimilitude to what actually happened.
Because the memory of the thing is not the thing, just like the picture of the like there's a whole like branch of just intolerable horseshit you can get into about subjectivity by talking about that, but like confabulation is totally a thing that happens. Yeah. And it's not intentional, right? Yeah,
exactly. And like so the same way that I can't remember how we got into this. I was going to tie you back into you saying that you saw Casper. That's not how we got into this. I was going to real quick anecdote. Speaking of divorce, my ex wife used to tell this story of her being at a KFC in high school.
Okay.
And they're getting a bucket of chicken and finding a feather on it. And like I was like, here's the thing. Like, yes, that may have happened, but it was like a prank from somebody backstage or something, because the way that KFC processes chicken, there's no way feather could survive that
right
process, And she was just like, no, that's what it was. I was like, you're trusting too much. Like it could have happened if you actually didn't Oprah memory this, if you didn't make it up, which is fine. Like, I'll believe you because we're married and we haven't gotten divorced yet. But like I'll believe you because we haven't been divorced yet. I always make a habit of believing my first wife, is what I should have said. But
oh God.
But at the same time, like, it doesn't, like this thing that you remember about it being like, she had this like whole memory about it being like, I don't eat there because that can happen. It's like, no, it definitely can't. Or like, she was like, the feather was attached. And I was like, well, no, like there's just no way that like a chicken leg is going to come out with one perfect chicken feather on it.
Yeah. Like the leg
from a deep fryer.
Yeah.
Like it just, that is so far away from an actual feather. Like it just can't happen,
Yeah. There are multiple different things in between what this thing used to be and what this thing now is.
I speaking of which, real quick, like, I love when somebody makes that kind of claim in a lawsuit.
Yeah.
And the lawyers for a company are forced to come out and be like, no, our product is too processed and toxic for that ever to work. Like, you didn't find a mouse in a Mountain Dew. Here's actually what happens when you leave a mouse in a Mountain Dew. Its flesh fucking falls off in like a matter of 2 days.
Well, that's also a weird story because alongside that, like, it's really funny to laugh at Mountain Dew because Mountain Dew is a suspect product. But somebody came out and showed that the same thing would happen in a jar of tomato juice.
Exactly. Like,
right?
You shouldn't take it and be like, this means Mountain Dew is toxic. It's like, well, you were never meant to soak in Mountain Dew for 2 days.
Yeah.
But it's just funny. Like, I love it when they're just like, no, that couldn't happen. But also you could still drink Mountain Dew if you want. Even though, I don't know if that's, I'm not gonna tell you what to do with your life.
Yeah. I mean,
if you're chowing down on a Mountain Dew right now, listen to this. That's fine.
If you're drinking a Mountain Dew, cool. I hope that it's like the one you've had today. Awesome. Cool.
Yeah. I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. Like right now I'm drinking a sugary beverage, but it is like an Australian ginger beer.
Oh, so, yeah. I love a ginger beer, man. Yeah. I miss ginger beer.
Yeah. Bundaberg. It is.
Yeah,
it is
I've
very.
had a Bundaberg.
Yeah, it's very costly, but I felt like treating myself.
Yeah, it's good shit.
Yeah. I'm going to take a drink of that right now.
What you drinking?
Yep, a little bit. Sorry.
I'll see if I can get the theme song from Teenage Dirtbags.
Yeah, no.
Slowly start integrating.
Just until it's all one big podcast collision.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just I looked at it and I talked about it and I had to take a drink of it because it is delicious.
Yeah, the ginger beer is great.
Yeah. I don't know. People make stories like that's what we do. Like that is that is the primary human mode of existence, is constantly coming up with a narrative that that both explains the world around us and explains us to the world around us. Like, I'm being super fucking intolerable here, but that is the only way that I can account for ghost stories, which they're really cool to hear about. Like when people tell them well, right?
Yeah.
Like a well-told ghost story is like, oh wow, that's super creepy. Like, I'm not going to discount any horror that is derived out of this, but yeah.
I like the idea of ghosts just fine, even though like typically I need something more to spook me out good.
Yeah.
Like it's hard for me just to be scared of ghosts just because.
Just like the idea of a ghost, yeah.
It has to be some kind of monster or something. Like I need my Babadooks more than I need my, paranormal activities. It's supposed to be a demon, but like, it's like, oh no, it might open a door. Like,
Cool. I was trying to get to that room anyway.
Yeah, that's convenient. Like that happens all the time if I go to a store.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of it.
So here's kind of a question while we're in the philosophy section of this. I'll change the category on iTunes later. Do you ever wish you could believe?
I wish, yes.
Yeah.
I wish that at any given moment, I wish that I were happier.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've gotten older, the cost of that gets less daunting. Mm-hmm. In this respect, like I've gotten less and less like, well, who cares about these fucking sheeple? Like I get my integrity from intelligence.
That's not. Yeah,
I've gotten less and less sympathetic because I was that asshole for like high school and just after high school, but I gave that up, and now as I approach death, I start thinking like,
Jesus. Okay,
I start thinking more and more that like. In the end, the amount of time I spent on Earth happy versus unhappy is all that's really going to matter. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean like going full on fucking, what is it? just drinking myself to death or heroining myself to death.
Yeah, it's not going to be like a hedonistic escalator.
Hedonism is what I want. Like, because I want to be here for a while too. Like, I want a good ratio and a good amount of happiness, happy time on earth, and that's what I want.
Yeah.
Like, to me, like, as I get older, the day-to-day stuff, it just matters a lot more to me. Like, what am I actually spending my time doing? As opposed to like, am I keeping this principle? And I take joy from principled behavior. It's not like, I'm into being a shithead, because I don't think I am a shithead. I do take some joy in being, behaving ethically. Like, ethics is a charged word in this post-August environment, but like behaving like a good, what I consider to be a good person.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So yes, I do wish that I had a sense of that kind of like belonging and happiness and security, but I don't think I can construct it. Like, I don't think that's how it works at all.
Yeah. Like, you can't force yourself into it. And then there's bad implications of like, oh, you are what you pretend to be or whatever. And when I said believe, I'm not talking about like, oh, God or whatever. I'm just thinking like specifically ghosts.
But I was thinking of God, like, specifically, not because I think of it necessarily as a ghost, but just because that is the thing that I would wish. Like, believing in ghosts and stuff, like, I don't know if I wish that. I don't think that would make me happier. Most people I know who believe in that kind of stuff are just like more skittish.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Yeah, like,
because they talk about it.
Yeah, like if you go whole hog into believing this, the people that I've seen who are really into it tend to have it affect their behavior in ways that in ways that it really ought not to, and it becomes a justification for unhealthy behaviors. Yeah,
and the kind of a catch-all excuse not to do anything.
Oh yeah,
They don't, if they don't like. That becomes a thing too. Like, I've known people who are very superstitious who are just like, I just don't do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, all right, I guess we won't go to the museum because you don't want to get on a public transit.
Yeah. Well, at that point, it's just anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is fine. Like, you can be anxious, but like dressing it, I mean, I guess if it makes you happier, dress it up as something, but it's just, who knows what made what happen,
Yeah. Yeah, well, I suppose it's cogent because any belief in ghosts implies that, oh, there must be something more going on. Yeah.
Yeah, to me, like, if I were going to...
one follows. Yeah.
Exactly. To me, the worst case scenario would be like, I believe in ghosts and demons and shit, but don't believe in God.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, we're just fucked and there's just invisible, intangible monsters everywhere. And nothing like that. That's too bleak even for me. Like, it's like, that would be the worst of both worlds. Like,
yeah. So okay, there's more than we can see, but also there is no benevolent guiding hand creating a system of rules by which this all works. There's just a whole bunch of jacking off hedonists who are swarming around people's crotches like flies. Okay, cool.
Yeah. People were smaller back then. Crotch sized. That would be plum if you were a jacking off hedonist ghost and like you died when people were 3 feet tall or so, because you would just be like crotch level at any given time. Like, you could just like phase your eyes through a skirt and then just like.
I mean, like under this mechanic, do ghosts have to like hitch rides on cars?
I wonder.
Yeah,
because Ghost had to in the movie Ghost, right? Like, he didn't have to take the subway to get places?
Yeah, I think he did. Although that might have just been habit. Again, like, that's pretty cool. I like the idea of a ghost going through the motions again. Yeah,
we don't have to talk about this now. Someday they'll make a Ghost video game. We can talk about how like Ghost is actually full of pretty cool ideas.
Oh yeah.
Like, for being a pretty shitty movie that is a punchline. Like, it is a bunch of really cool ideas about the afterlife.
Yeah. One of my favorites Whoopi Goldberg performances, actually.
Yeah, like, in that it's not terrible. Like, it's not fucking really obnoxious.
Yep.
She's so weird. She used to be this like very edgy and respected comedian, which I always forget about. And then like now it's just like, oh, it's Guinan and Sister Act. Like, it's, just like this toothless, very broad comedian.
Yeah.
So, and the Guinan parts of Star Trek are always like, that's like, okay, now it's time to go use the bathroom. Guinan's on the screen.
Yep. Gotta go.
Yeah. Anywho, who suggested this?
This was Sam Bear.
Hey, Sam.
Yeah, hey, Sam. Thank you. This was one of the early ones, too.
No, it wasn't from but the next one's probably one of the more...
Oh, yes. This next one is from the most recent Bear Storm.
Yes, Bear Storm.
Yeah.
So thank you, Sam. Go fuck yourself.
I guess.
And yeah, well, like probably he's building up a case for fucking himself eventually. What are we doing next time?
Next time we are playing a game for the DOS operating system called Ganja Farmer.
Oh, cool. looking forward to that. Yeah, I have played Ganja Farmer.
Yes, I hope so, because we're going to talk about it.
And so thanks. If you want to suggest things, if you go to the www.Duckfeed.tv/abject suffering, there's a little drop down there. You can suggest whatever you like.
Yeah. And we really appreciate that. We have lots of them. As a reminder, those are chosen at random when we pull them up. So if you recommend something, it's not like you are at the back of the queue. It could come up in the next crop,
Exactly. And it's cool that, like, I love this DOS archive thing because, like, it's easy to emulate.
Oh, yeah.
So there's this whole world of just shit.
Yep.
Like 2,000 shitty games were just dumped into our lap.
Yeah.
So good on you. Archive.org. What else can people do if they want to help out? Cool.
Ratings and reviews on iTunes. Actually, I know every single podcast, especially ones in our network, we talk about them. But there's been a huge kind of like, let's say, rising tide across the network because of recent events with, Bonfire Side Chat and everything. And I want to see some of that spill over into success for this show as well. So if you haven't yet, you can go there and leave us a rating or review. It is tangible. Usually whenever a review shows up on a show, it bumps up or shows up in the ratings or pops up in the what's hot and the new and noteworthy stuff. So that does have I can't figure it out. I can't tell you exactly how it works, but it does have an effect.
Yeah, let us get out of the terrible what's not section of iTunes.
Yes.
Because right now it's all, cereal and I don't know. I don't actually know what popular podcasts are. They're still doing that, right? They haven't murdered the guy yet.
What's that? There's a spinoff podcast, something, but the victim's family is really angry. Yeah.
What is the spinoff called? Orange Juice?
Whoa! Yeah. It's got an app called Fry an Egg.
Muffins.
It times your egg frying to make sure it doesn't.
Yeah.
Gary, what was that?
Anyway, so please rate and review us. We appreciate it. And stay tuned next week.
Yeah. Umbasa.
Or Casper.